Flashing on the go. Go back to the stove. Go get me some more. Go get it by choice. All I know is go, nigga. All I know is go. I be on the go.
What is up? Hey guys. So today, I told you guys probably yesterday's Vlogmas that I was gonna either do the story time or me and the kids were gonna record while we were outside doing stuff. We ended up actually not going to do stuff just because we had a super busy day. In the morning, it started out busy, so it just kind of like dwindled down later on in the day. So we just kind of been chilling all day. So I decided to do the story time today instead. My mom's here because the story time involves her, and she kind of walked through this with me. I didn't tell you guys what the story time was going to be about yesterday, but the story time is about postpartum depression. It is probably like one of the scariest, hardest, most terrifying things I've ever been through. I didn't go through it with my son, and if I did, I don't remember it, and it was very brief. But I went through it like very hard and terribly with my daughter. It just so many different factors actually kind of went with it as to why I had the depression. My marriage was failing at the time. I was getting ready to have another baby before 20. I had a four-year-old by that time. So it was just so many different things that I had going on before I gave birth, and then gave birth, and everything just came like crashing down on me, I can say. I lost a lot of weight. I gained a lot of weight with my pregnancy, and it looked fine. It wasn't like really lumpy or anything, but I lost a lot of it with my depression. My mom would always tell me how like thin I looked. I don't think I ever really noticed it until like more recent, when I look back at pictures and I see how small I really got. It's very terrifying. And then I also got sick after I had my daughter. We call it a setback. I can't think of the medical term for it right now.
Technically still a setback.
I was just it's pretty much when you're outside way before you're supposed to be, and your body's still open and everything, you get sick, and you just pretty much end up back in the hospital, and it could be a very serious thing. Thankfully mine was very minor, but it still kind of hit really hard. I was cold all the time. I had the chills. I always had like this feeling in the pit of my stomach like I had to throw up. I caught mastitis in my right side breast, which if you don't know, that just pretty much means that my milk ducts got clogged, so my milk production got really low in my right side, and it was so depressing because I was a full-time breastfeeding mom. So we just had to figure out so many different ways to get my milk production back up. I was drinking teas, I was exercising, I was drinking water. The main reason that I had the setback was because me and my mom were pretty much doing it on our own. We didn't have family here at the time. We didn't really have help. And as I mentioned before, me and my now ex-husband were just kind of going through it, so he wasn't that much of a help at the time. So I was having to take my son to school, pick him up, all those things. So just having to be outside, even in that small amount of time, it still obviously took a toll on my body, and it was a lot.
And the reason setbacks are so important, and believe me, they come and they hurt. The reason they're so important, and I know it seems old-fashioned that we say stay in the house and don't do so much. Your body is so open and so exposed to everything. So those setbacks, I think the reason that whoever made up the word setback and meant what was for, It's because you're so open and you're prone to get to anything to you. Somebody could have, been walking around coughing and, things like that, but your body is so open and so exposed. And it's so important to say, I have to figure out a way to not have to go outside. Some of us have no choice. Believe me. But you have to figure out a way. It's going to be a time when you're going to have to say, my health is going to be worth it, because setbacks, she did not have to hospital stay, but there's been people that have had to hospital stay for months. And then that takes away from not only you and your newborn, but you and whoever else you have at home and anything else you have to do. So to keep yourself in safety, that's where making sure that
it was a lot. My depression truly got to the point where, I was looking for, or wanting to look for, new homes for my kids. I was thinking about adoption, because I just told my mom, like, I cannot do this. I was just so out of it. I just couldn't even, I felt like I couldn't pull myself out of just this eerie feeling. And it wasn't, I don't think depression truly has a feeling. But I just couldn't shake that feeling, and it killed me, because I did not want to be their mom in that moment. And it hurts, now to just sit back and think about it. Obviously I fought through it, but it was the hardest thing ever to look at them. And, I was on routine of the, everything, the feeding, the making sure he was straight and making sure all of this, but it was just so hard to be a mom in that time of depression. It was so heavy. And like, honestly, thinking back to it, I can't tell you if I was eating or not. I can't tell you if I was drinking anything. I can't even truly tell you how I was even kind of going about the day, just because it was just that blank for me. I can't even tell you when I came out of it, because it was just that thing. And it was hard. It was really, really hard. And a lot of women don't talk about it. It's becoming a little bit more talked about. But I think it's just one of those things that some people don't know, that it's okay to go through. It's really, truly okay to go through something like that, because I firmly believe, I'm not sure if it's like scientific or anything like that, but I firmly believe it's just one of those depressions that comes with huge change, and you don't know how to function with that change. So it's like, okay, well, I have to figure out this, that, or this. Okay, well, this way isn't working, or figure out that way. So it's just one of those things that we just don't understand how to adjust to. And I mean, it's not just something that women go through, men go through it too. They may not go through it the exact same way that we do, but they do experience it. And it's terrifying.
For women, one of the things that have been proven about postpartum depression, and the main reason is considered the postpartum of it, is your hormone imbalance is bananas. So it does play a huge part. As her mom, it was a very difficult time for me, because I did not know what to do for my daughter and my grandkids. There were nights that I would just cry, and I never told her about it, but there were nights I would just cry, because I didn't want to wake up and my daughter still feel that way about not wanting to be a mom. And she really, truly, I don't remember wrapping her mind around saying, this is why I don't want to be a mom anymore. I don't remember the true us having the conversation about, I don't want to be a mom anymore because of this, so here, give my kids away. And even within she wanted them adopted out and things like that. As we were having conversations, I would say, well, look into family, I'll adopt them. And she didn't even want them adopted within the family. She wanted them away. So as her mom, I didn't know how to control that situation. I mean, don't get me wrong. She was 19 years old. It wasn't like, she was this 13-year-old kid that I could just take over. She's just a minor and I can just talk her out of it or talk her through it. But she's my baby. She's always going to be my kid, my baby, my adult, whatever anybody wants to label her. And I didn't know how to fix it. And I believe that my job that is created for me as a mother is to fix. And I had no idea what to do, what to say, or anything else. I didn't even know what to say to somebody else, to ask them, how can I help her? Because again, unfortunately, it's not something that's always been talked about in broadcast and things like that. For me coming up, it was, you'll be okay and you'll get past it and things like that. And I don't even know if they, even generations back, even knew that they were in it.
Yeah.
And, for me, when I went through mine sounds different than hers completely. And it was my second child as well. But my postpartum depression sounded completely different than hers. And I agree. I don't know if I went through it with her. And maybe I did. I was a teenager. I don't know.
Right.
And maybe I just couldn't recognize it. Mm-hmm. And even as an older person, I was 22 years old, second kid. I had no idea what it was. I just knew I was sad. I did not know what the sadness was, where it came from, or nothing. I just knew I was sad. So mine even looked different than hers. I went through it different than you did, or whatever. But I know it was the same thing. So
yeah, it's just, it was just feeling like in the moment, like I just couldn't do for them. I felt like I couldn't provide for them, being that I was only 19 when I had my daughter. I turned 20 a month later. And I was just like, what am I supposed to do for them? What can I do for them? I was just kind of going through, those emotions of, at the time, having my 4-year-old son and then turn around and having another baby. It was just like, what do you do? Or 3-year-old son, sorry. They 3.5 years apart. I kept saying 4.
I ain't want to, but well, maybe I'm counting wrong.
It was just a huge shock. And, I mean, it was just a lot, my marriage falling apart the way that it did, and everything, just realizing that from that point on, I really truly had to do my kids by myself, because there was no going back. There was no saving my marriage. So just all of that, on top of, I left the home that me and my ex-husband shared to go back to my mom's house to get on my feet. I got a job in my last month of pregnancy, so I had a job and all those things. I had a job, a really good job, everything, so it was just like, it wasn't that I just felt like such a failure in that time, because we all say when we get married, that's it, that's all, blah blah blah, there's no divorce, there's no this, there's no that, but you say that until you're in it, and you're just like, what do I do? Do I stay in this for my kids and lose myself? Or do I walk away from this and try to figure it out on my own? And honestly, both decisions suck. They both suck. Because you still have to go through some type of emotion, and it's terrifying. It really, really is. Because I had those times and my depression, and even after it, of like, well, if I would have just stayed in my marriage, or if I would have just blah 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 blah, if I would have just da 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 da. But then I sit back and I'm like, but will my kids be the happy that they are now? Would my kids have been able to feel the emotion I was feeling? Would all of these things, so looking at them during my postpartum was one thing that kept me in it, but it was also the one thing that got me out, because I looked at them and I said, you know what, I have to do something because they're looking at me. So it was scary. I could honestly say it was probably one of the scariest things I've ever been through was postpartum depression. Like, seriously.
And being able to speak in my own postpartum experience, that's the reason I didn't become a missus.
Yeah.
Because I had this brand new baby and a 5-year-old, and I was going through the motions of what I'm supposed to do throughout the day. But when I started recognizing that my emotions were getting him up, getting her up, getting her off to school, going back in the house. He nursed for all day, basically. Lord. I mean, just stayed on the boob or whatever. And I cleaned with him attached. I cooked with him attached. And when her bus came, we walked over to her bus stop and got her. We came back in the house. She did whatever little homework she had to do, but then she had her time, and I still was in the dark. I was literally sitting in the dark by the time my partner came home. And for the life of me, the person never asked what's wrong. It was intentional that I was sitting in the dark. And not one time did my person look at me and say, something's wrong. You're sitting in the dark. Talk to me. So months went by. I am with you. I do not know when I came out of my depression, but I do know that there were unbearable times where I felt completely invisible. The kids were a priority, of course, and that was what we were doing. We were going through motions of just the kids being priority and the house being priority, and that's it. And again, opposite of you, after coming through, I realized I could not, same reasons, I could not take my kids through what I didn't think was going to be happiness. So I had to leave. And don't get me wrong, same idea. What if I would have stayed? What if I would have done this? And what if I would have done that? And I thought I ruined my daughter's life, especially because she was the older kid. And, here it is, oh my God, dad's gone, and things like that. My baby, he was only 9 months when I left. So all he's known is we didn't have our relationship, and we did not live together. But we had our relationship before he was born. She was 5, and by the time I met him, when I met him, she was 2. So we had a whole relationship. Right. But postpartum depression did the opposite of being in the marriage, because it stopped me from going into the marriage. So I mean, good, bad, and ugly. It's a thing. It's real. It is very real.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because my son was in our relationship, so he did know me and him as a thing. Because by the time when he first came available to our relationship life together, my son was 2, and when he completely was gone, by that point my son was almost 4. So it was just kind of one of those things where it was just like, I didn't know how my son was going to react to it, with him technically being the only father figure that my son had physically, because my son's father lives far away and far in a whole other state. It was just that thing where I was just like, I don't know, what to do. I didn't know how he was going to react to it, and just everything. It was so hard. And even being in it, you just don't even know how to talk about it. You don't know how to talk about it when you're in it, when you're going through it. You don't know what to say. You don't know how to tell somebody, I need help. You don't know how to say, I'm feeling this and I don't know why, or I don't know what it is. You know, it's just that thing where you just kind of run like a robot off just routine. You know what to do. I knew to get up, take my son to school, pick him up, you know, be stuck with her all day, feeding her, and I couldn't even tell you what I was doing all day.
No, because, you know, to be honest with you, at the time, of course, it was my car. So not only did you do whatever routinely, you also routinely had to, you know, come pick me up. Yeah. So yeah, it was literally robot mode. And I think that's one of the things that get missed about it being something that your mind and body is going through at the same time. Because in the long and the short of it, you are in robot mode. You know you have to exist. You know you have something to do. Some people, I can honestly say that, you know, the severities that I've seen in research and in anything else, literally, some people don't get out of bed. And some people don't come out of this before they kill their children. So, you know, or themselves. So it's huge. It is honestly a huge thing. And I don't want anyone to think that they should bypass it or downplay it or anything else. It is real. Yeah.
You know, the main reason I really wanted to make this video is because I just want to let people know, because it's not just women, like I said before. You know, I want y'all to know that if you're feeling indifferent, talk about it. Because it may be somebody that went through it, you know, just like you. I can say that me and my mom probably didn't even really have the conversation about her postpartum in that time. We had it probably like a couple years after, because Kari was maybe about 2 or so, when I'm gonna say we both figured out a way to even have the conversation about what it was, because that's when we had the conversation about how small I was and kind of stayed.
It was scary.
It was like I was like small, and I kind of stayed that way, and we talked about it. And then that's when, you know, we had the like story conversation, and
I was forcing you to drink something, eat something, and maybe even the wording that I used, because I would say this is going to keep your production up for the baby to eat, you know. And that could have been something that, you know, is even more of a pushback, because it's like, oh, it's about the baby, you know, it's like not about me. And you do feel that way. You know, I can honestly say I felt that way. The only reason that I was eating and drinking or anything else is because I knew he had to eat. And I mean, I was an avid breastfeeder, so it wasn't like, oh, okay, I'm gonna just make him a bottle, hope he eat it, and go about his way. But even like I said, when my partner came home, it was about the kids and not the fact that I'm sitting in the dark.
Yeah, I mean, because even that's what kind of made our stories different, is that, again, like I said, I moved out of our home and moved back to my mom's. So that person didn't have to see me go through what I was going through. So it was just kind of like...
And I had the opposite. I didn't have someone else's house to go to.
So it was just that thing. But, you know, I just really wanted to, for sure, bring awareness to postpartum depression, because age does not matter, nor does gender, because it can happen to anybody. And it is terrifying to go through. Because, like I said, to sit here and say I cannot remember truly anything about it, like throughout those days, like she just said, we had one car at the time, and I half but remember going to pick her up from work. You know, so it's just that thing, you know, it's just terrifying.
It is.
It's really, really terrifying. I mean, I had couple different tragedies in Kari pregnancy anyway.
Yeah.
The car accident, my body was just hurting so bad because of how big she was. Just, it was a lot, you know. And just we sat back. I can't remember when we had the conversation. It was probably like a couple days or so ago. When I was like, wow, just to sit back and really think that she probably couldn't even be here.
Yeah.
After the car accident.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. We were in the hospital for hours just trying to get her to move, and she wouldn't. Mm-hmm. And we were like terrified.
And I mean, you were only, 7 months because it was my dad's birthday.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
And I mean, and one of the biggest things about awareness of postpartum is part of my story and journey is the fact that my partner wasn't aware of how to be present or anything like that. So, do I think if he was aware or paid attention or wasn't in his own robot mode, would I still be married this 20 some odd years later? Maybe. But it's just the fact that, and the long and the short of it, when you're going through something and you have no one to go through it with, because again, your partner was absent, my partner was absently present. And when you have that and you don't know what to do, it makes your depression even more. And again, it's called postpartum because it's after you have this baby and the concentration is this baby and these kids, and that's what you have. So
because it's situations like Joe Budden and Sin that I appreciated that they shared on national TV. The fact that she had a partner that truly
he was present
and trying to help her understand what she was going through. I just want other men to truly open up and think about that. Think about your person, see if she's acting different, or women, check on your person, see if he's acting different. It's something that truly sneaks up on him. Okay, so the camera cut off. But no, I just wanted to definitely end out the video and say, know your person so you can know when they are being different or if something's just a little different or a little off, because you'll be able to walk them through something they cannot get out of by themselves. And they need you. They really, really do. They need your support, because I honestly cannot say probably where I would be or my kids would be had I stayed in that space. It was terrifying, and I'm just happy that I got through it. I can say I'm definitely happy my mom wasn't one of those parents that was like, what, you don't want your kids? Okay, let's sign it on the dotted line, let's find an agency to go to, all these things, because had I had one of those kind of parents, I probably wouldn't have my kids. And that would be something that would be eating me up, trying to figure out where they are, now and what they're doing and just all that stuff, I just say know your person so you could know when to check on them. Because that is truly key to being able to help your person through something that they're even afraid of.
And what I want any woman that becomes a mom, if you're feeling something, say it.
Yep.
Because I didn't say anything. And I mean, I thank God that I was able to walk through what I went through without harming my children or myself. There's obviously, you can do a whole bunch of research and you can honestly truly see that there's a lot of moms, a lot of women that, and I'm not excusing them killing their children, hurting their children, or anything else, or themselves, but I guarantee most of them, and I can't give a percentage, but most of them They have a small kid and a bunch of kids, or a small kid and one, whatever, but they may have just had that kid. And I can't tell you that postpartum only lasts, oh, it's only about 3 months. It's only about 6 months. It can last. It really depends. So I'm not excusing any woman that harms their child or anything of that nature, but talk.
Yeah. Even your
Talking
friends,
is important.
If you see your friend being different and she just had a baby or just anything, you know, it's check on her or him. You know, it's hard. And like I said, you don't know how to talk about it. So
no.
It's just that thing where somebody would really have to, like I said, if you guys have ever did watch Love and Hip Hop, Joe literally kept trying to tell Sin, like, babe, you are being different. And she's like, no, I'm not. Whatever. I'm stuck in the house with the baby all day. That is truly how it is. And it's just that thing. You know, it is serious. It's serious. It's real.
It is very real. And without anybody being able to feel to be judged, because that's what we automatically do as moms, is we automatically go to, oh my God, you're going to judge me if I say, I don't know why I don't want my baby or want my baby to touch me or hug me or anything else. You are going to feel judged. You don't have to worry about that. You have to talk to people.
Yeah, you definitely do. You know, and I think also another thing too is that as moms, when we go through it, or even, you know, as dads, when they go through it, possibly, I think it'd be more that we're afraid that somebody's telling us that we're not doing a good job. You know, because even when we're going through the depression, like we said, everything is on a cycle. It's like you're a hamster on a wheel. So you're doing the everyday things that you're supposed to do as the parent and all that. So hearing somebody say, you're not doing something, you off a little bit,
flip out like I'm doing.
You automatically think that somebody's coming at you as a parent, and they're not. They're truly just trying to check on you and make sure that you are okay. Please allow them to, because it's a real thing.
When you go to your 6-week checkup and your doctor's asking you questions, be honest.
Yeah,
that's actually where it can actually start. It may get you to a level of unbelievable hope, because at that 6-week checkup, you're asked so many things, not about the baby. You're asked so many things about you. And so being open and honest about that gives a whole different light to your doctor saying something's different. They've been monitoring you for the 9 months, and not only have they monitored you for 9 months, but if you've had them prior to having a baby, they, you know, kind of get to know their patient and everything like that. So things are written down, and they're like, you've never talked about not wanting to eat. You've never talked about not, you know, caring whether or not you've changed your clothes. So, I mean, those things are triggers, and talk to a health professional. It's okay.
Yes. So we just wanted to check in and definitely have that open story time. Just if you know somebody that's going through it, or you believe that you have somebody that's going through it, talk to them. Because sometimes we probably just want somebody to talk to, because that could help. Because it could just be that we're feeling so closed in because all we do is routine, kid. So they might just want somebody to talk to them, and it, you know, just any kind of conversation. So, you know, very serious note for Vlogmas Day 15. But it was very much well worth it video. It's kind of long, on the long side, I know, but it was worth it.
I'm seeing longer.
Yeah, I have to. But we do have the reaction video I've been talking about for a week now coming up. I finally figured out how to trim it, so I'm gonna cut it. It's gonna be a 2-part video, so that's gonna be for two different days. It's my aunt's video. She's probably looking for it because I told her I was gonna do it, but I was trying to figure out how to cut it up because it's a 45-minute video. So I'm gonna cut it in 2 videos, and we're gonna cut it into 2 videos, and we'll be doing a reaction to that. I think that's pretty much it. I just wanted to close out the video and say You are okay. You are loved, and it is okay to go through something that you don't understand.
You're loved. You are honestly, truly loved. It's not just the baby. You're loved too.
Yes.
It would be funny and say you smart, you kind. Sorry to help.
But we just wanted to close out the video and tell you guys we love y'all.
I ain't gotta know you to love you.
That's right. So tune in tomorrow for Vlogmas Day 16. The kids will be back. And we don't have much planned for tomorrow. Kari has cheer practice. And
Typical Monday.
Yeah, typical Monday. Kari has cheer practice. We don't have a game tomorrow, but we do have games on Tuesday and Wednesday. So I'll probably record that a little bit for you guys so y'all can see that. And we'll probably just go from there. I don't know what day we're going to do the reaction video yet. But as I did say yesterday, we do have the photo shoot Saturday. So you guys will get behind the scenes for that. But before this video ends up being 40 minutes long, I'm going to end it here and say I will see you guys tomorrow. Good night.